doing a fraction, you would get a common denominator. And a lot of times, if you were thinking about like 1/3 minus 1/4, how you would get that common denominator is you would come up with what is the smallest number that 3 and 4 would both divide into. The easiest way really to do that is 3 times 4 is 12. So what do you multiply by 3 to get 12? 4. What do you multiply by 4 to get 12? 3. And then you keep the denominator and subtract across the top. So 4 minus 3 is 1. We're going to do the exact same thing with a rational expression. Here we're going to multiply the top and the bottom by 3x plus 4. And then on the other side, we're going to multiply by x minus 3. So your denominator is 3x plus 4 times x minus 3. Your numerator, you're going to distribute your x. So x times 3x is 3x squared. 4 times x is 4x. Then we have a negative 2 times x. Negative 2 times negative 3. Combine the middle. You're combining your like terms. And now you want to reduce this expression if you can. So 3 times 6, that's 18. What are my factors of 18, if any, that add up to 2? I don't know of any, so we will just leave this in this form. And you need to note that x cannot equal negative 4/3 or 3. All right, you try this next problem. X divided by 2x minus 1 minus 1 over x plus 2. Get your common denominator. So we have x plus 2 times 2x minus 1. Across the top, x times x is x squared. X times 2 is 2x minus 2x plus 1. This middle would cancel, leaving you x squared plus 1 over x plus 2 times 2x minus 1. Now at this point you would normally look and see, can I factor the top at all? Well, you could take the square root of the first term, but it is not connected with a minus sign. It's connected with a plus. And we do not have any factors of 1 that would add up to a 0. You could do 1 minus 1, but 1 times negative 1 is not going to give you a positive 1. So you would have to stop there, and of course, you need to note that x cannot equal negative 2 or positive 1/2. Look at these fractions. We have 1/6 plus 3/4 minus 2/3. So you have 3 denominators here, and you're trying to get a common denominator. You always want to go with your LCD, your lowest common denominator. So let's think of a number that we could divide it to 6, 4, and 3 into. Well, if you look at your largest number, 6, 4 does not go into 6. So the next factor of 6 would be 12, or 6 times 2 is 12. So does 4 go into 12? It does. And does 3 go into 12? It does. So let's put 12 as our common denominator. 6 times 2 is 12. 1 times 2 is 2. 4 times 3 is 12. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 1 is 12. 3 times 4. 2 times 4 is 8. You keep your denominator and you add or subtract across the top. So 2 plus 9 is 11. 11 minus 8 is 3. You can reduce this fraction. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 12 divided by 3 is 4. I want you to keep that in mind when we go to this next problem. We've got x minus 1, x, and x squared minus 1. We've got to come up with an LCD, a lowest common denominator. The very first thing that I would recommend you doing is factoring the denominators. X minus 1. I cannot take the square root of x, so I will leave it alone. X, there's nothing you can do with that. And x squared minus 1, the square root of x squared is x. It is connected with a minus, and you can take the square root of 1. So you have x minus 1 and x plus 1. Now, let's see, what can we do to get a common denominator? Sorry, I went too far up. So I've got 3 over x minus 1. I'm going to put some spaces in here. I think you can get, if you look at all your denominators, you got an x minus 1, an x, and an x plus 1. Those are the 3 main things here in this denominator. So we need to make it all match. So we need to multiply this by x and by x plus 1. So if you do anything to the denominator, you've got to do it to the numerator. So here I've got to do x minus 1 and x plus 1. And here I just need to multiply by x. Now, let's multiply. Let's factor all of this all the way through. Your denominator, x times x minus 1 times x plus 1. Going across the numerator, 3x times x is 3x squared. 3x times 1 is 3x. Then I've got, if you multiply this together, that would give you x squared minus 1. Negative 2 times x squared is negative 2x squared. Negative 2 times the negative 1 is a positive 2, plus x squared plus 3x. Now, here's the point where you want to simplify as much as possible. Combine your like terms. You have 3x squared minus 2x squared. That's going to give you 1x squared, plus another 1x squared is 2x squared. 3x plus 3x is 6x plus 2. Okay, at this point, I can take a 2 out of the top. X squared plus 3x plus 1. There are no factors, however, of 1 that would add up to 3, so I'm done. I can't factor, I can't reduce anything else. But if you can, of course, go through and do that. Now I would like for you to pause the video and work out this next problem. Remember, the first thing you should do is factor your denominators. So you have 4 over x minus x plus 5 over x minus 2 times x plus 2 plus x plus 2. Now, let's multiply and get our common denominator. We have an x minus 2, and an x plus 2. I'm going to multiply by x minus 2 and x plus 2 here. I need to multiply by an x here. And I need to multiply by x and x minus 2 here. Always double check behind yourself and make sure that now your denominators are all alike. You have an x minus 2, and an x plus 2 in every single denominator. Now you can go through and simplify. You have x times x minus 2 times x plus 2. So you have 4. This right here is going to be x squared minus 4. So you have 4x squared minus 16. Negative x times x is negative x squared. Negative x times 5 is negative 5x. Plus 4x squared minus 8x. Combine your like terms in the top. 4x squared minus x squared is 3x squared. Plus 4x squared is 7x squared. Negative 5x minus 8x would be negative 13x minus 16. All over x times x minus 2 times x plus 2. You can check to see if there are any factors of 7 and 16 that add up to 13 and then reduce. But I'll go ahead and tell you there aren't. At this point, I'm going to stop the video. But if you want more examples, you can look